I'm talking to you, young people. You, pay attention. The biggest threat to our democracy is when young people think that it's not about me. I'm just going to look at my phone.
It's 35 days until the most historic election in world history. Referendum on nationalism versus globalism, human freedom in the Renaissance versus global technocracy and the new dark age. You know, I rarely drop the ball big time, but I have really, really dropped the ball in a gigantic way. And I began to realize this over the weekend, so I did a lot of research. And by then, a lot of other people had done research. And now we have all the documents, we have all the admissions. It's hiding in complete plain view. And I'll talk about how I dropped the ball and how important this ball dropping is. We pick it back up right now. Because the ball's been fumbled, but the other side hadn't got it yet. And then we get this information out. But no wonder they don't want InfoWars on any social media or able to share information virally, they think, during this period, because they're going to make a bunch of dirty moves the next 35 days. You've already seen it. But the information we're going to cover when we come back is absolutely so stunning that I just cannot even believe it. And thank God Michael Savage began to point this out last Friday, because I'd seen it. But for some reason, I mainly focused on Ford's leftist background, donating 10 times to Hillary, 60 times to other leftists, how her story didn't add up, how there's due process, how you're innocent until proven guilty, you know, stuff that goes back to the Magna Carta. But then I began to look at her CIA connections, and it's not connections. It's like saying a cow out in the field has connections to cows. Or Hitler had connections to the Nazis, or Apple's logo looks like an apple. It's unbelievable. And it's not just CIA. She co-authors top studies and is one of the head engineers in a giant mind control program that they admit is mind control at Stanford. And then her father, grandfather, brother, brother-in-law all work in the same group of CIA offices that produced the fake Russiagate dossier. I mean, and then she's got the deep state lawyer of Andy McCabe sitting next to her. This is unbelievable that they would try something like this. By the way, her specialty is implanting false memories. Oh, you're going to read the study with her name on it. God help us. You know, it's everybody accusing Kavanaugh or psychology professors. Or another professor that went to Yale saw him drunk once, he claims. I mean, it is unbelievable. And these people are using psychological warfare against us, against our families, against everything. And they are the problem in this country. They are the would-be ruling class. They don't believe one lick of their liberal garbage. It's all meant to sabotage this nation. Unbelievable. We're going to break it all down on the other side. It is incredible. No matter how you're listening or watching, tell folks tune in now. We get this out, it is going to derail their operations big time. Stay with us. We looked into Dr. Ford, the psychologist, background, and we looked at how she was a big Hillary supporter and gave 10 donations in the last cycle and 60 donations to other Democrats. She's got a lot of money. Now she's an executive with the RU-486 abortion pill company worth hundreds of billions of dollars, still not on the market. And we looked at how she was part of a whole man-hating organization and how she's supported by Soros-backed groups and how her whole testimony kept contradicting itself and how whatever happened to innocent until proven guilty and why did they sit on the allegations until right before the vote, on and on and on. Instead of looking at what she did at Stanford and one other university, even currently what she does. And she is in a public mind control operation that implants false memories and removes memories. It is Tuesday, October 2nd, 2018. On Friday, they're set to confirm Kavanaugh. The left, as they're known, really the deep state and the private intelligence agencies that have hijacked this country, are going into complete and total terroristic overdrive to destroy due process, to destroy basic freedoms that we hold near and dear, like innocent until proven guilty. We have female professors, Hollywood stars everywhere saying, kill Kavanaugh, cut his testicles off. All men are bad, especially white men. This is an attempt to divide and conquer this country. It's in the WikiLeaks, but more importantly, it's in CIA public manuals and others on how to control population. Now, get ready for this. I knew that Dr. Ford's grandfather, father, brother, and brother-in-law all worked high-level CIA. That had come out. That's par for the course with these psychology professors. Then it came out that she ran recruiting programs at Stanford and one other college. She was involved in the recruiting. Then it got even worse. I saw a Media Matters article over the weekend attempting to debunk it, and it went ahead and admitted it all and more and said, and how dare them? Yeah, she was in some programs to help people forget memories or have new false memories. There were several articles. And I went and read the study she wrote, and ladies and gentlemen, turns out she co-authored and headed up major classic MK Ultra style mind control programs. We're talking erasing memories, implanting false memories, programming people openly at Stanford. I'm going to get into the actual program, show TV viewers the actual document. We've posted it on Infowars.com. Mike Adams has done an excellent job at naturalnews.com breaking it down. But I read this last night when he sent it to me and got physically ill because I already knew all about this. And that's why when they have these big events, you've got to look and see, are there leftist foundation groups involved? Because most of the time there are. And before I get into this, let me give you just a few things I pulled up during that 4-minute break. I thought, let me give them some background first, like I always do. This is Psychology Today. Psychology Today. Harvard's experiment on the Unabomber, class of '62. Theodore Kaczynski disappeared for 3 years into the MK Ultra secret assassination brainwashing program. You can go read it out of Psychology Today, LA Times, you name it. This all broke back in the 90s. That's Psychology Today. Let me give you another one. Shooter James Holmes and DARPA, Weird Science. Kurt Nimmo wrote about it, and it links to mainstream news articles, Infowars.com. His father is Lieutenant Colonel Robert Holmes, the head of the Space Command, NASA, Army Language School, Defense Language Institute, all of it. Complete and total interface with computers plugged directly into your brain for mind control. I'm going to keep going. Guess who Timothy McVeigh's doctor was until the day he was executed at Terre Haute, Indiana? Guess. Jolyon West. Do you know who Jolyon West was on record? #2 scientist in MK Ultra and MK Naomi and other secret NASA programs. But wait, it gets more powerful. He headed up an even more secret program. The name was never discovered in Canada with over 10,000 kidnapped children. Even the History Channel has shows about it. He worked for Dr. Ewing Cameron, the former head of all mind control operations for the Central Intelligence Agency. And then you've got Dr. Ford, who remembers being raped by Brett Kavanaugh. How in the hell is this not a giant issue? Now, we're going to get into her papers and her program, and it is the most hardcore public mind control I've ever heard of. I know a lot of it's going on at the University of Texas Psychology Department. I was let in there almost 20 years ago by one of the folks that then moved on to an even more prestigious institution. And I've told you about some of that, but it was mainly how to use flicker rates and manipulate people and make them sexually stimulated or make them nauseated. It was just using television to manipulate you. Some of the areas I was shown, all DARPA funded. Every laboratory had DARPA on the door saying they were the ones funding it. So I just showed you mainstream news, you name it, admitting all this. If you're a TV viewer, you saw it all on screen. This isn't even hidden. But what's incredible is that I dropped the ball because I was focusing on her working for RU-486 company. I was focusing on her not finishing her residency, which is classic because you go right to work for the CIA. You usually don't. And then I was focusing on her, because that's your residency, and the way she changed her story a whole bunch. But then I read the CIA honey trap story that Savage was talking about from Zero Hedge, and it was all linked there with her family high level, tied into Russiagate, tied into everything. And then I saw this last night. I already read some of the studies she'd written, but I found these when Mike Adams sent me the article, and I sat there and read it, and I knew what I was looking at because I'd read the declassified stuff in the 70s on MK Ultra, MK Naomi. It was all that with her heading it up in plain view. The co-author of a mind control study to give people false memories or remove memories. That is what they're looking for. That's the Holy Grail. With chemicals, electricity, you name it, and just mainlining it, how great it is. I mean, this is unbelievable. To project of inner voices through sub-audible frequencies. I mean, it's all, this is like the encyclopedia, these programs and papers she wrote of everything I've ever researched and known about in one class. God, who knows what they're doing with all this stuff? And then this is the woman that's up on television that we cannot question, even though her story is completely scrambled and upside down, and she's got interns living at her house and all the rest of it. This is who they brought forward. And now the other women are saying, actually, I never saw Kavanaugh attack anybody. Oh, actually, he didn't attack anybody on a boat. Oh, actually, oh, don't worry, we have new anonymous letters saying he raped a woman in a car. This is unbelievably transparent. And then she's got the deep state swamp top lawyer there, right there. So we looked into Dr. Ford, the psychologist, background, and we looked at how she was a big Hillary supporter and gave 10 donations in the last cycle and 60 donations to other Democrats. She's got a lot of money. Now she's an executive with the RU-486 abortion pill company worth hundreds of billions of dollars, still not on the market. And we looked at how she was part of a whole man-hating organization and how she's supported by Soros-backed groups and how her whole testimony kept contradicting itself and how whatever happened to innocent until proven guilty and why did they sit on the allegations until right before the vote? On and on and on. Instead of looking at what she did at Stanford and one other university, even currently what she does. And she is in a public mind control operation that implants false memories and removes memories. The story is on Infowars.com with all of the documents. And we have saved and posted much of the actual reports, so they can't remove them. Imagine why they want InfoWars shut down and curtailed and censored with just 35 days out. Because they want to launch stuff like this and get away with it. Do you think I just went on air and said that the Batman shooter in Aurora, Colorado was suspicious? It was on local news that his father was a military officer heading up a giant mind control operation, and that the former head of the Air Force Psychiatry Division left a year before and came to be his private psychiatrist at the college, and that he then said in the jail, it was in the Denver news, that I have been drugged, I am under mind control, I was not the shooter, there was another person there. His father heads up Air Force mind control. His psychiatrist is a woman that formerly headed up the Air Force. It's psychological operations. This is in the newspaper. I have the LA Times and Psychology Today right here, where Theodore Kaczynski, the Unabomber, was in MK Ultra for 3 years. Shooter James Holmes in DARPA Weird Science. Inmate James Holmes told me he was programmed to kill by evil therapists. I'm not saying she did that. I mean, she's just this top Air Force psychiatrist that happened to be his personal psychiatrist and just met with him up to 4 times a week. Oh, and he was in a brain-machine interface program himself. Was being paid $98,000 a year, by the way, by the Defense Department and DARPA. Oh, yeah, the shooter. Because, you know, Daddy was one of the top guys in the program. Well, he's getting 90-something thousand a year. And then he goes and shoots up a movie theater. The shadow Patsy rises again. How mind control is connected to gun control. Infowars.com. It's why they want to shut down. The relationship between MKUltra and mass murder. Jamie White, Infowars.com, February this year. And here we are on the 1-year anniversary now of the Vegas situation. Murder under hypnosis, the James Holmes story, takes a familiar turn. And now, we have a doctor whose grandfather, father, brother, and brother-in-law all work high-level CIA in D.C. in the same programs, and some of them work inside Baker Hostetler that wrote up the original Pissgate dossier, and none of this is suspicious to anybody. And then you read the report. Kavanaugh accuser, Christine Blasey Ford ran mass hypnotic inductions. Did you hear that? Mass hypnotic inductions. Putting you into a hypnotic spell. That's her words. Of psychiatric subjects as part of mind control research funded by the foundation linked to computational psychomatics, psychosomatics, neurohijacking. Neurohijacking. Nothing to see here. Nothing going on. Stunning bombshell about the hoax accusations against Brett Kavanaugh. And you hear her say how she remembered it a few years ago and then told the therapist by name, but it's not in the notes. And then the dog was there at the window and she decided to go public. I mean, maybe she's under mind control. My God. Stunning bombshell about the hoax accusations against Brett Kavanaugh. We've now learned and confirmed that Christine Blasey Ford co-authored a science paper that involves her carrying out, quote, hypnotic inductions of psychiatric subjects as part of mind control program that cites methods to create artificial situations. Did you hear that? They put people into trances so deep that they are under total mind control and believe whatever they're told. Internet sleuths are turning up an extraordinary collection of evidence that increasingly points to Christine Blasey Ford being involved in mind control programs at Stanford, writes Mike Adams, which some claim are run by the CIA. It's DARPA funding it. That's above the CIA. We have confirmed that Stanford University, where Ford works, runs a CIA undergraduate internship program, which is described in full at the stanford.edu recruitment page for the CIA. The Stanford recruitment page for the CIA explains, you will be given opportunity to work with highly skilled professionals and see firsthand the role the CIA plays in supporting U.S. officials who make our country's foreign policy. We can, and it goes on from there, breaking. The self-hypnosis and create artificial situations paper that she co-authored. Christine Blasey Ford's confirmed to be co-author of the mind control study, the hypnotic induction system, Spiegel and Spiegel, to evaluate their level of hypnotizing, and we're asked to, and it goes all through it, for the Stanford University School of Medicine to participate in it with the hypnotic inductions of the students. The Mental Insight Foundation also funded a study on interception and neuroimaging to control the mind through biological intervention. That means drugs, chemicals, radio waves, you name it. And then guess what's right here? Boom. And it just gets crazier and crazier. Projections of inner voices through subaudible frequencies to plant voices and even emotional moods in the minds of targeted subjects. Gee, wonder who wants that? And it goes on to what's happening in Cuba and China to our forces, you know, being hit with it. But then it gets even crazier. You got to go read this. It gets into the different waves to hit the heart, the amplitude to hit different organs, to attack the stomach, to attack the brain. And it talks about, in this huge paper, vagus nerve stimulation, presentation of information during different phases of visceral rhythms, and assessment. And it goes all through different waves, like I told you, to mind control you. Look at these documents. Changing the world through using these interactions, using these waves, using these outside systems. Combined percent of the body in the world. The outside perception and the inner perception, changing the body through interactions with the body. The psychosomatics of the systems they're using. Additional details about the Mental Insight Foundation. They even call it computational psychosomatics, and they talk about using torture techniques, close quote, to force the neurological maps open into the open, saying the degree of tolerance to being enclosed in a small dark chamber for 10 minutes might provide behavioral evidence verifying tolerance in triggers for the mind control program. And that's what it is when they put you in a coffin. And they do this during death education in the schools. Folks, I can hardly even read this. It's so stunning. This is just some of the papers. This is some of what we're dealing with. And of course, she is literally a mind control doctor in a giant CIA university-funded program for false memories, now trying to destroy the Supreme Court nominee. My God, this is beyond 2 + 2 = 4.